So, Godzilla is a film from 1954. It's a Japanese film. It's black and white, and it's subtitled. It is part of the Criterion Collection. But if you want a giant monster movie, this was one of the first giant monster movies. This is one that pioneered the genre. And like I was talking about with Death Wish, this film is very much makes you think. And this is one that's very interesting. Very much like Jurassic World or an Alfred Hitchcock movie, this film is an hour and a half. And they have this half an hour of build-up, this half an hour of mystery, where there's these ships on the ocean, and they say the ocean exploded. They don't know what happened. These ships just disappear. They don't leave any survivors. You have people going out on fishing boats and fishing from the shore, and they're not catching any fish, and they're like, what is going on? You have a giant storm that occurs, but the winds aren't blowing in the right direction. The damage isn't occurring the way it should. What is happening? And then about 30 minutes in, they see the footprints. You see the head rising out of the water like the classic photo of Nessie. And you have the, oh, there it is. It's what you came for. It's Godzilla. And this is the first film with Godzilla, so he's 164 feet tall. He's a dinosaur-like creature that lives in the bottom of the ocean. And he was baptized in atomic energy. And it's very interesting because every time they remake a Godzilla movie, he grows a little bit because they wanted him to tower over these giant buildings they have in Tokyo. And, you know, since 1954, they built buildings that were bigger. So every time they remake a Godzilla movie, he grows another 20 feet so he can still be taller than the buildings. And the visual effects in this film from 1954, where you see boats getting destroyed, you see helicopters getting destroyed, you see houses getting destroyed, and you can tell that they're miniatures. And when you have Godzilla stomping over the city, you can tell that they're miniatures. And it's just a man in a giant rubber suit. But that's what makes this great, because it's the low tech. But if you suspend your disbelief, those visual effects still hold out because they're practical, because they are low tech. I'm watching this film 64 years later, if my math is right. And this is incredible, but yet it's a giant monster movie, but yet it makes you think. He is baptized with the H-bomb, where they were doing all these H-bomb tests, and he made him resistant to this radiation. And you have this professor who's like, we had the atomic bomb dropped, and we could study Godzilla to help us. How are we going to deal with the radiation fallout from the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? But then you have the other people that are like, this could possibly be more dangerous than Hiroshima and Nagasaki in those bombs, because this is a living thing that he doesn't just attack those cities and then gone forever. He can come back, and we have to find a way to kill him. And you have the scientist that's just trying to advance science, and he accidentally finds this thing where he can deoxygenize water, the oxygen destroyer. And he, like, this thing, used in the wrong hands, can be deadly, because this could kill every marine life in a radius. And they're like, you have to use that to kill Godzilla. But he's like, if I use it to kill Godzilla, what's about people using this on us? Or are we using this on our enemies? Once you use a weapon, people know that it exists. So you have all this thinking of all these philosophy of, do we keep him alive? Do we kill him? How do we kill him? If we can't kill him with planes and tanks, and the only way to kill him is kill all the sea life in the area that he's around him, and then what do you do with that weapon? And they remade Godzilla in 2014, and I was not a fan of that one. But this one is one of the best giant monster movies ever made. And I think it comes down to the characters. This film is made before I was born, before my parents were born. It is made in a different language that I do not speak. But yet, I can connect to these characters through the subtitles. And I don't watch a lot of foreign films, but this is probably the best one that I've seen. And it is because these characters are fascinating, and because of their philosophy. You have this love triangle versus the person that the father wants this girl to get with versus the person that she loves. And she is between their two philosophies of, we want to study Godzilla, and he needs to be killed because he is a menace to society. And she is stuck there in the middle of it. And then the scientist creates a weapon that he knows could lead Earth to a path of destruction. That this weapon, the damage this weapon does, this oxygen destroyer, could be worse than the damage that Godzilla is doing. And what do you do? And in the ending of, okay, we are finally going to use this weapon, and what the scientist does, in the end, this guy sacrifices himself so nobody can build this weapon again. He goes back to the bottom of the sea, he launches the weapon, he kills Godzilla, but he burned all his research and he only made one, and he died without telling anybody how to do this because, okay, our monster is dead, but this weapon cannot go out in this world. And I connected with this foreign language film from 1954 that is a metaphor for post-World War II Japan, where you have this monster that represents the atomic bomb, but you feel for him because he doesn't know what he's doing, and people don't know what to do about him. And this film has connected with the people of Japan, it's connected with people of America. They have made 36 Godzilla films. This is the longest running franchise of all time according to Guinness. And there's a reason for it. And I've only seen like 3 or 4 of these Godzilla films. But there is a reason why this character is still relevant today. And this first Godzilla film, which I have in the Criterion Collection, and it's a 24-year-old college freshman that's watching this 60-year-old Japanese film, and he's really connecting to it. And I think this is one of the greatest films of all time. And if you don't watch older movies, if you don't watch foreign films, this is a great way to get started. So watch Godzilla, and then watch Pacific Rim, and then watch Pacific Rim Uprising, and have a great monster movie day. Monster movie afternoon. It's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend the original 1954 Godzilla. And I think everybody should check it out. It's one of the films that's iconic, and it's iconic for a reason. And I highly recommend it. Give it a 9 out of 10.